we need to let them know that they can't continue to take our money and take our money and take our money.
Over 10,000 John Deere employees, represented by the United Auto Workers, have gone on strike. So this is after 90% of the workers rejected John Deere's latest proposal, a proposal that included pay hikes which were being offset by pension cuts for new hires. Now, in a minute here, I will also show you a surprisingly fantastic breakdown of this from ABC News, of all places. But before I get there, I'm going to break it down here myself. So this strike is over wages, rest periods, and meal breaks. John Deere, the company, is expected to make nearly $6 billion in profits this year. Workers correctly identifying that they are the ones responsible for the vast majority of those profits and expect a pay raise because of it. So they are on strike now, and let me first show you their announcement here. So the UAW saying, quote, "Our members at John Deere strike for the ability to earn a decent living, retire with dignity, and establish fair work rules. We stay committed to bargaining until our members' goals are achieved." And that's from the UAW Vice President Chuck Browning. Now, one reaction here. Bernie Sanders, one of several pro-labor lawmakers standing in solidarity with these employees. Bernie Sanders are tweeting out, "Profits at John Deere have skyrocketed by some 61% in recent years, while its CEO's salary has exploded by 160% since the start of the pandemic. Please do not tell me they cannot afford to pay their workers fairly. I am proud to stand in solidarity with United Auto Workers members on strike." One more thing here from More Perfect Union. So they say here, striking John Deere workers in Ottomanois, apologies for the pronunciation there, but in Iowa, tell us that there are over 120 people on the picket line. Restaurants are bringing down food for picketing workers and giving in-store discounts to union members. And Teamsters and UPS workers are refusing to cross the picket line. Fantastic. Now, I will show you, before I get to the video from ABC, I'm going to show you what John Deere right now is trying to do to replace these workers. But first here, Jonah Furman has done a fantastic job, his reporting on this from labornotes.org. So I will link to his article and these tweets below the video as well, so you can read through those. But he tweets out here, in early September, Deere presented a disastrously bad first offer to the membership. They likely wanted to lower expectations by super lowballing them, but ended up pissing everybody off, and members authorized a strike by 99%. On Sunday, members shocked both the union and the company by rejecting the contract by a whopping 90%, with 90% of members voting. This seems to have been a wake-up call to the UAW, who quickly announced a strike deadline of tonight. So it's worth pointing out here that, union leadership often is not in line with the actual members, which is why they appear to be shocked by the rejection of the latest offer. But here you have the members speaking up, the ones being heard here, and the ones pushing for this strike. Going on, Jonah Furman says, "The Deere strike in particular is about corporate profits against stagnating wages, decades of two-tier and concessionary contracts coming home to roost, a member revolt against the status quo tacitly endorsed by the status quo, and tight labor market and the pandemic." It's amazing to see workers finally standing up for themselves, and as I'll get to in a minute here, it isn't just these John Deere workers. There are several strikes and potential strikes going on all across the U.S. Now, this is what John Deere is attempting to do to replace these workers. So this from Labor Notes. Deere sees the writing on the wall. Salaried workers who aren't in the union shared with Labor Notes details of Deere's customer service continuation plan. The company's plan to use salaried employees to keep the plants running during a strike. Quote, "They have been having about one meeting a week with employees eligible for the CSC plan starting 3 weeks ago," wrote one salaried employee. Anonymously, for fear of retaliation, their attitude was that a strike was not happening and this is normal. But in more recent days, that clearly the tone shift, and they began basically intimating that, yes, you are going to have to be replacing these workers. And it's good to see this, at least in my position. This is from one of the salaried employees that are being pushed to replace these workers. In my position, I'm not looking forward to this. I think the wage employees deserve a lot more than what they were offered, and I absolutely support them striking. This employee does go on to say, though, I mean, you may be wondering, if they're in support, then why are they willing to replace these workers? But the worker says here, I feel like I am betraying some of my values by crossing the picket line, but it has been all but said that not crossing the picket line means getting fired if you're our salary. So these salaried workers, out of fear of them losing their jobs and being fired, are willing to replace these positions. That said, if the salaried workers were able to get together and just refuse to do so, they're not going to fire all the salaried employees. So there would be a way for them here to work together in a union type fashion, even though they're not union. But these particular employees could be working together to try and bust up this plan. Now, let me get to this shockingly great segment here from Good Morning America, particularly ABC News, on this strike and also other strikes that are going on.
This morning, 10,000 workers at John Deere hit the picket lines in Iowa, Illinois, and Kansas. They argued that even as the agricultural equipment company's profits grew by 61% in recent years, and their CEO's salary grew by 160% during the pandemic, their pay has actually been cut.
We need to let them know that they can't continue to take our money and take our money and take our money.
Across the country, labor is on the march. In California and Oregon, 24,000 nurses and other healthcare workers at Kaiser Permanente voted to authorize a strike over pay and better working conditions. Meanwhile, union workers at Kellogg's cereal plants have been on strike for more than a week, angry about long hours, including 7-day work weeks.
Our number one priority is to get back to the negotiations table and reach a contract so our employees can get back to their jobs and their lives.
And soon, Hollywood may see a walkout. 60,000 film and TV crew members could walk off the job Monday over what they claim are unfair working conditions.
Our hours are really grueling, and we need not just rest between the workdays and over the weekend, but an actual meal break during the day.
And across the country, a record number of workers are quitting their jobs. 4.3 million Americans, or 2.9% of the workforce, left their jobs in August. Many are looking for better work conditions and pay, especially with inflation on the rise. Several forces are driving all of this. As the pandemic comes to an end, companies are seeing sky-high demand and very tight labor markets. They're having trouble filling jobs. Workers notice that top executives and bosses are getting paid. And so for the first time in a long, long time, workers have the upper hand.
Incredible. Great segment here from ABC, pointing out, harping on the fact that you have bosses and the CEOs, the executives of these companies, making a ton. You had the, as mentioned by earlier by Bernie Sanders and in that segment, the CEO's salary exploded by 160% since the start of the pandemic. So you can't do that as the CEO and then not expect your workers to also see a similar increase in their pay when they are the ones delivering you the profits. So it's amazing to see this. I love the energy out there. People are standing up finally for their positions, standing up, understanding their value in the workplace. So it's good to see this, and I wish John Deere employees all the best.